A ship sets out for the coldest place on Earth. On board are 28 men chasing glory. But as they push deeper into the ice, their ship is slowly trapped and destroyed. With no way out and no help coming, they face an impossible fight to stay alive. What follows is one of the greatest survival stories ever told. It is the year 1914. The world is on the edge of war. Across Europe, countries are preparing for battle. But far from the noise of politics and armies, one man is chasing something else. His name is Sir Ernest Shackleton. Shackleton is already known as an explorer. He had once come close to reaching the South Pole, but never quite made it. Now he wants to do something even bolder. His plan is to cross the entire continent of Antarctica, from one side to the other, through the South Pole. No one has ever done it before. To lead such a mission, Shackleton knows he will need the right men. He puts out a call for volunteers. Thousands apply. From them, he chooses 27. His crew is a mix of sailors, scientists, and skilled workers. There's a carpenter, a photographer, and even a man who sneaks on board and later becomes part of the team. Shackleton names the ship Endurance, after his family motto, "By endurance we conquer." The ship is strong and built for polar ice with a heavy wooden frame and powerful engines. Still, no ship can defeat nature if it turns against them. Before leaving, Shackleton contacts the British government. He offers to cancel the expedition if the war needs him. But the government tells him to continue. They believe the journey will inspire people. Shackleton agrees and prepares to sail. The Endurance departs from England in August 1914. The journey south begins calmly. They stop in Buenos Aires, Argentina, to gather supplies. Then they sail on to the remote island of South Georgia. It's the last place with people before they head into the frozen world. At South Georgia, they meet whalers who know the waters of the Southern Ocean well. The whalers warn Shackleton about the ice. It's thicker than usual this year. The Weddell Sea, the body of water they must cross to reach Antarctica, is dangerous. Ice floes have already formed earlier than expected. It may be impossible to pass. Shackleton listens carefully. He understands the risk, but he also understands something else. Turning back now means giving up before the journey even starts. He decides to press on. The Endurance sets sail from South Georgia in early December. The men are in good spirits. They play music, care for the ship's dogs, and prepare for the long months ahead. Spirits are high. The frozen coast of Antarctica comes into view. Shackleton's dream is finally within reach. But the ice is waiting. As the ship pushes farther into the Weddell Sea, the ice grows thicker. It presses in from both sides. The Endurance slows down. Every mile becomes a struggle. Then, one day, the ship stops moving. The ice has locked them in. They are now prisoners of the cold, and the real test is only just beginning. Shackleton gathers the men on the ice. The ship is locked in place and the pressure is building every day. By now, it is clear they will never cross Antarctica. The dream is over. Their new mission is to survive. Shackleton tells the crew that they must abandon the expedition's goal. They will not be explorers now. They will be castaways. Ice surrounds them in every direction. No help is coming. No one even knows where they are. Shackleton keeps his voice steady. He tells the men they will live on the floes, hunt for food, and wait for a break. From this point on, every decision will be about survival. There is no going back. The Endurance is trapped. Antarctica will not let them go. The ice has stopped them for months. But now it begins to move. The wind picks up, the pressure around the ship tightens, the ice starts to crush the Endurance from both sides. Her wooden beams twist and snap. The men hear deep cracks echo through the hull. Shackleton knows they can't save her. On October 27th, 1915, he gives the order. Abandon ship. The men gather what they can: food, tools, clothes, lifeboats. They set up camp on the ice beside the wreck. The temperature is dropping fast. The sun will soon disappear for the long polar night. The Endurance sinks weeks later. All that's left is a pile of debris frozen into the sea. The crew now lives on a shifting ice floe hundreds of miles from land. Their only shelter is what they carried off the ship. They call their new home Ocean Camp. Hope begins to fade. Some men wonder if rescue will ever come. But Shackleton stays calm. He checks supplies, sets routines, and keeps everyone moving. No one is allowed to drift into despair. He promised to bring them home, and he still means it. The men are stranded on the ice, but they refuse to give up. After abandoning the Endurance, they set up Ocean Camp with what little they could carry. The ice floe beneath them drifts slowly through the Weddell Sea, and no one knows where it will take them. They are hundreds of miles from the nearest land, with no way to send a message and no hope of being found. Temperatures drop below -30 degrees Celsius. The sun vanishes for the winter. Darkness lasts for weeks. The men sleep in tents made of canvas, huddled together for warmth. Ice forms on their clothes. Frostbite is a constant threat. Each day is the same: cold, hunger, and the sound of the ice groaning beneath their feet. Shackleton stays focused. He knows the real danger is not just the cold, but fear. He gives the men daily routines. Everyone has a job. Some cook, some hunt, some look after the dogs. He encourages music, games, and laughter. They celebrate holidays and birthdays with whatever food they can spare. Shackleton knows morale is as important as fire or shelter. As the weeks pass, the ice floe begins to shrink and break apart. Ocean Camp is no longer safe. Shackleton orders the men to move. They pack everything and drag their sledges across the ice. It is slow, brutal work. The surface is jagged and uneven. Some men collapse from exhaustion. Others fall through cracks and have to be pulled out. They set up a new camp, which they name Patience Camp. There is no fresh food. They survive by hunting seals and penguins. Each animal they kill means another day of life. They cook meat over blubber stoves, which fill the tents with thick black smoke. The stench clings to their skin and clothes. Still, they eat every bite. One night, a man wakes to a cracking sound. A seam of ice splits open beneath his sleeping bag. He falls into the freezing water. Shouting wakes the others. They rush to grab him before the current pulls him under. He survives, but barely. The ice is no longer a shelter. It is a slow-moving trap. The drift continues, taking them farther north, but the pressure never stops. Sometimes, in the distance, they hear loud booms as massive slabs of ice smash together. These sounds echo like thunder, a reminder that the entire sea is shifting around them. Patience Camp becomes smaller every week. The flow is breaking up, and the men know it. Shackleton studies the map. If the ice breaks completely, they will have no choice but to take to the sea. Their 3 lifeboats sit nearby, half buried in snow. The boats are their last hope. But the ocean is deadly. The water is freezing, the winds are violent, and storms come without warning. Shackleton waits as long as he can. Then, in April 1916, the ice splits again. Water rushes into the camp. Tents fall. Supplies scatter. There is no more time. Shackleton gives the order, launch the boats. The men drag the lifeboats into the sea. They are soaked to the bone and freezing. For 6 days, they row through rough water, surrounded by icebergs and towering waves. Salt spray freezes on their skin. Their clothes never dry. The boats nearly tip over again and again. They sleep sitting up, packed together like cargo. Blisters form on their hands. Some begin to hallucinate from lack of food and sleep. One man falls unconscious. Another cries out in the night, calling for home. But they keep rowing. Then, on April 15th, a lookout sees land. Elephant Island. After 497 days trapped in the ice, they finally touch solid ground. The men cheer and collapse onto the rocky shore. Some weep, some kiss the frozen earth. For the first time in over a year, they are standing on something that will not drift away beneath their feet. But the joy does not last long. Elephant Island is remote, cold, and almost impossible to escape. No ships pass nearby. The beach is narrow and exposed to the wind. Their supplies are low. They are safe for now, but still far from rescue. Shackleton knows what must be done. They cannot wait for help. He will have to go get it. Shackleton knew waiting meant death. Rescue would never come to Elephant Island. So he chose 5 men to sail with him across 800 miles of deadly ocean. He needed strength, skill, and trust. Frank Worsley would navigate. Tom Crean would provide the muscle. Harry McNish, the carpenter, would reinforce the boat. Timothy McCarthy and John Vincent were chosen for their toughness. They took the sturdiest of the lifeboats, the James Caird. McNish raised its sides and built a rough deck. The seams were sealed with a strange mix: oil paint, flour, and seal blood. It was crude, but it had to hold. They packed food for just 4 weeks. There was no room for more. On April 24th, 1916, the 6 men launched into a freezing, violent sea. They faced hurricane winds, 50-foot waves, and no second chances. It was one of the most dangerous small boat journeys in history, and it had just begun. The James Caird sails into a nightmare. The waves tower over the boat, rising more than 50 feet high. The tiny lifeboat vanishes between swells, only to be lifted again by walls of freezing water. Spray lashes their faces. The cold cuts straight through their soaked clothes. Every inch of the boat is covered in ice. They work in shifts, hour after hour. One man steers, while another chips ice from the deck. Another bails freezing seawater as it pours in from every side. They never stop. If they do, the boat will sink. Their only hope is Frank Worsley. As the navigator, he must guide them across 800 miles of open ocean. But the sky is rarely clear. He sees the sun only a few times, and only for seconds. That's all he gets to measure their position. A single mistake could send them into open sea, never to be seen again. Then, the worst hits. A hurricane slams into the Southern Ocean. The wind roars. Waves crash down on the boat. The James Caird is nearly flipped. Shackleton later says it was the closest they came to dying. But somehow, the boat survives. On May 10, after more than 2 weeks at sea, someone spots it. Land. South Georgia Island. They have made it. They reach South Georgia Island, but they are on the wrong side. The coastline is jagged and steep. Mountains rise straight from the sea. No one lives here. The only whaling station is on the opposite side of the island, and there is no way around by boat. The James Caird is too damaged to sail any farther. 3 of the men are too weak to move. Shackleton makes a decision. He will cross the island on foot. Worsley and Crean will go with him. The others will wait behind, hoping help will come. They have no map, no trail, only 50 feet of rope and a carpenter's axe. No one has ever crossed the island's interior before. It is a frozen maze of peaks, cliffs, and glaciers. They travel by instinct and guesswork. For 36 hours, they climb through snow and ice. They march across mountain ridges. They slide down slopes in the dark, not knowing what's at the bottom. They keep moving, even when their legs go numb. They are starving. Their clothes are soaked, but they don't stop. Finally, on May 20th, they hear something. Machines, whistles, voices. They stumble into the whaling station at Stromness. The nightmare might finally be over. The men at Stromness are rescued first. After Shackleton, Worsley, and Crean arrive at the whaling station, help is sent immediately to the other three still waiting on the far side of the island. They are cold, weak, and barely hanging on, but they survive. Now Shackleton has only one goal left: return to Elephant Island and rescue the 22 men still waiting. They've been stranded there for weeks, with little food and no shelter except what they built from the lifeboats. No one knows how long they can hold on. Shackleton wastes no time. With help from the whalers, he sets out quickly. But when the ship reaches the edge of the pack ice, the way is blocked. Solid sheets of frozen sea stretch for miles. There is no path through. They turn back. Shackleton does not stop. He tries again with a different ship, but once more the ice stops them. The Southern Ocean is closing in for winter, and each day makes the rescue harder. Time is running out. A third ship is sent. This one gets closer. Shackleton stands at the bow, scanning the horizon, but again, the ice is too thick. The ship cannot break through. They are forced to retreat. 3 attempts, 3 failures. Shackleton is exhausted, but he refuses to give up. Somewhere out there, his men are still waiting. They are cold, hungry, and running out of time, but they are not forgotten. Each time he returns, Shackleton searches for a new option. He begs for ships, he asks for fuel, for supplies, for a crew willing to brave the ice. Finally, the Chilean Navy agrees to help. They give him a small but sturdy steamer called the Yelko. It is not designed for ice, but it is all they have. Shackleton knows this is the last chance. He climbs aboard and sets off once again, praying that the ice will let him through. On August 30th, 1916, after 4 long months of waiting, the Yelko reaches Elephant Island. Shackleton stands at the bow, scanning the shoreline through the mist. The island is silent at first. Then, movement. Figures appear along the beach. Men are running, waving, shouting. It's them. All 22 men are still alive. They race toward the water, beards wild, clothes torn, eyes filled with disbelief. Against every odd, they survived. Shackleton steps ashore and begins counting. He has one number in mind: 22. He reaches the end. Not one is missing. Cheers erupt on the beach. Some men cry, some simply collapse. Their nightmare is over. For the first time in nearly 2 years, the entire crew is going home. They were stranded in one of the harshest places on Earth. They faced hunger, ice, storms, and endless waiting. But now they are saved, and not a single soul was lost.